make a start. So just as a personal introduction, so my name's Russell Dent. I'm the Diploma Course Director at the WSET School. So it's my job to look after for our diploma students and prospective diploma students. So I've been in the industry now for, let's see, about 16 years. I started with Majestic Wine. I mainly looked after a retail store in the south of England, but I also did quite a lot of recruitment and training at head office. And I really liked the training side of the job. Didn't like the hours of retail too much. So I joined the trust, let's see, about 11 years ago. And I've been here in one capacity or another since. So that's me. Just to give you kind of an overview of what we're gonna talk through today, what the diploma is all about, so what your expectations can be, give you a little bit of information as to how it might benefit you, the structure of the course, and how we can support you through that process. Okay, so this is it. So I think we can safely say a market-leading qualification, setting a global standard for wine education, building on the success of the WSET Level Diploma in Wines and Spirits. So you may be aware that previously it was known as the Diploma in Wines and Spirits, and since 2019 it is now the Diploma in Wines. So we've dropped the spirits element of the qualification. And I think what we can say at this stage is that the diploma, like the other qualifications within the WSET suite of qualifications, is primarily a product knowledge focused course. So it tells you all about how wines are made, why they taste like they do, introduces elements of wine business, looks at specific wine styles. So it's not necessarily going to teach you specifically about sales or marketing, or procurement. It's more a product knowledge focused course. So just moving on a little bit then, I wanted to go through a little bit in terms of where the diploma fits in with the other WSET qualifications. And I suspect many of you will be familiar with the other qualifications, having completed some of these. The Level 4 Diploma in Wines is, I suppose, the flagship qualification within the WSET suite of qualifications. But I wanted to show this slide just to give you an idea in terms of gauging your expectations in terms of what's expected of you as a Level 4 student. And at Level 1, it's all about factual recall. That's what we're really testing. So for those of you that have done the Level 1 course, and done the Level 1 assessments, you're presented with 30 questions and you have to pick out the right answers from amongst the distractors. So we're not really testing your ability to show your understanding or your comprehension. It's more about factual recall. At Level 2, the premise is similar. So again, we're testing factual recall, your ability to recognize the correct statement from amongst the distractors. And again, Level 2 is about testing factual recall, but from a broader knowledge base, because you need to know more about wines at Level 2. At Level 3, and I suspect most of you are at Level 3 or have just completed Level 3, Level 3 is a step up again. So at Level 3, we are expecting students to be able to recall the facts, but we're also expecting students to demonstrate their understanding, their comprehension, but also apply certain pieces of information to certain principles. So applying perhaps product knowledge skills to certain wine styles and certain grape varieties. And at Level 3, as you will know, there's both a tasting element and a theory element to the assessment. So things change at Level 3, whereby we're testing students' comprehension, application, essentially their understanding of a particular topic. And at Level 3, that is considered the prerequisite qualification to move on to the diploma. We need those skills in place. We need our Level 4 students to be able to explain certain concepts to move on to the Level 4. Level 4 program. And at Level 4, we are assessing similar skills. So we're still assessing students' ability to recall facts, test their knowledge. We're still assessing students' ability to demonstrate their understanding and apply certain concepts to certain wine styles. But it moves on from that. We're also testing students' ability to compare, to contrast different pieces of information based on certain wine styles. And we're also expecting students to analyze and research particular concepts. So we're testing at Level 4 what we would consider high level skills. So it's not just about factual recall and knowledge. It's not even just about comprehension and application. It's more than that. It's about testing the ability to analyze, research, compare, and evaluate as well. So these are what we would consider our high level skills. Okay, so gaining the diploma, what will it give you? So, I mean, I've already mentioned that it's primarily a product knowledge course. So I think it would be ignorant of me to say that if you do the diploma, you're going to get a job within the wine industry. Probably not. I think what we need to say about the diploma is that it can support your progression within a relevant role within the wine industry. The diploma alone wouldn't give you access to certain roles, but the diploma would help you achieve a marketing role or a procurement role or a sales role with another supporting qualification. So on its own, it wouldn't necessarily secure you a position, but perhaps with a marketing degree or a marketing qualification, the diploma can really help progress your career. It's a globally respected qualification. I think it's I would probably say one of the most globally respected qualifications. I think most serious employers are familiar with the WSET and certainly familiar with the Level 4 Diploma in Wines as the pinnacle qualification within the suite of qualifications offered by the WSET. So it can be a real stamp of approval in terms of your product knowledge skills and can really help you, as I say, progress through a particular element of the wine industry. I think what's often forgotten about the diploma qualifications is it's not just about going through the ropes, passing the assessments. I also think it's a great opportunity to grow your network as well. One of the common comments by students going through the qualification is that they meet a lot of friends, they make new friends, and they've got lots of opportunities to interact with people that are in similar areas of the industry, but also people that perhaps aren't in the industry and those that work in different aspects of the industry. So they gain a lifelong network of different contacts that they can rely on that further help their career. And that's where the alumni comes in. So it's not just about achieving the qualification, it's about progressing and becoming part of that network of diploma graduates, which is really important and can really help a career progress. So this is probably an area that most of you, I suspect, will have questions on, the structure of the qualification. And what I'd like to do here is just not necessarily go through every single individual unit and talk about how it's going to be assessed. We can find that information in the specification and in the information pack, which we can provide you with at the end of this session. But I just wanted to give kind of an overview in terms of what's expected of you as a Level 4 student, and perhaps a little bit of a comparison to the Level 3 qualification. So you can get an idea in terms of the step up, in terms of what's expected of you as a student. So there we go, right at the top, a minimum of 500 hours of study. To put that in perspective, the recommended study time for the Level 3 award in wines is 84 hours. Within that 84 hours, there's approximately 30 hours of classroom time. and the remaining time is what we would consider private study. So I think a good way of kind of visualizing the amount of work that you would need to do for the diploma is kind of like 6 mini qualifications, 6 level 3 qualifications. And I think that's really important, because if you look at the diploma as one big qualification and one big length of study, then it can become quite daunting. And if you can break it down into 6 mini qualifications, I think it makes it much more approachable. In terms of the amount of time dedicated to classroom or online activities, you're talking about kind of 120 hours contact time, and that's either through the online classroom or contact time within a classroom-based taught course. And the remaining study time would go to examinations. There's about 12 hours worth of examinations across the units, and private study. And I think perhaps a kind of to give you some guidance in terms of what that might equate to in terms of a weekly dedication, depending on the length of the course and the format that you choose, I think that probably equates to about 8 hours per week, roughly, some of which will be classroom time or online activities, but the vast majority of which will be private study. The course is arranged so that it would be impossible for us to deliver every single thing that you need to know as part of a classroom or online course. So we're still reliant on students reading the information, coming to the classes, participating in the online activities, and then going away and digesting that information and making sure that they've got a good understanding of that particular topic. So that second statement there normally takes between 18 months and 3 years to complete. Yeah, it depends very much on the format. I think what it's important to stress is that it's a flexible program. So if you want to do a semesterized course and tackle half of the program, and then take a short break and then come back to your studies, you can. You don't necessarily need to dedicate all of your time and try and complete the qualification as quickly as possible. Certainly over the past kind of 18 to 24 months, we've had an increasing number of students that have wanted to take a little bit of a break between studies. So it can take from as little as, say, I would say 14 months with an intensive course, and I'll go through the different formats shortly. But if you chose to perhaps take a break, or if you chose an evening format, then it might take as long as 3 years to complete. The good news is, once you've passed an assessment, then that assessment is banked. So it's considered passed. You won't be asked to repeat that assessment unless there's a significant change in the specification, and that's highly unlikely. Okay, right, so I love this slide. I love this slide because it completely and utterly oversimplifies the qualification. So this is it. This is the diploma. It's split into 6 units. So that's why I say it's quite convenient to think of it as 6 mini qualifications. They're not all equally weighted. Some have greater importance than others. So you'd spend more time perhaps talking about and thinking about D3 wines of the world than you would D2 wine business. But I think thinking about it as kind of about 6 mini qualifications is really helpful. So right at the top there, we've got D1 wine production and D2 wine business. And they are considered what we would refer to as the foundation units. A good understanding of how wines are made, how grapes are grown, the growing environment, wine production, a good understanding of how wines are sold, how they get to market. Marketing is really important for your understanding of what we refer to as the WET units, D3, D4, D5, and D6. So that is why you study D1 and D2 first. What we try and do at the school is we try and arrange our courses so that you study a unit then there's a break, and then you're assessed on that unit. Then there's another break, you study the next unit, there's a break, and then you're assessed on that unit. So there shouldn't be any overlap where you're studying different topics at the same time. So D1 and D2 first, so that you've got a really good understanding of how wines are made, how they're sold, and you'll be applying that knowledge, applying your understanding of those concepts to the remaining units. Okay, so the remaining units, as I mentioned, what we refer to as the wet units, D3 wines of the world, D4 sparkling wines, and D5 fortified wines. They are the wet units, and we call them the wet units because there is a tasting element to the assessment. A lot of students panic about the tasting elements, and I would probably say that most students have some reservations about their tasting skills, but actually it's the tasting element of the diploma is probably the easiest part. It's the part of certainly the statistics that I get relating to the different units that students perform better at, and it tends to be the theory that proves more challenging. And my advice is that students want to get together and form tasting groups because it's quite fun. They don't necessarily want to get together to answer some theory questions. But that's probably where more students should focus on the theory element rather than the tasting elements. And each of these units looks at something slightly different. So sparkling wines as a relatively small part of the diploma program. Similarly with fortified wines. D3 wines of the world, that's a big chunk. That's 50% of the qualification. So students tend to spend a lot more time studying that particular element. And then right at the end of the qualification, we position a D6 research assignment. So think of this as kind of like a thesis that you might find for a graduate study program. So an opportunity to test your analytical and research skills on a given topic, apply what you've learned throughout the other units, D1 through to D5, in the production of an assignment that's submitted for assessment. So an opportunity to kind of bring everything together at the end. And that's it, that's the diploma in all its simplicity. And as I say, if you want more information on those individual units, the assessment structure, the relevant weightings and such, then you can find those in the information pack and the specification which are available online. Okay, so I've kind of gone through the structure of the course. So what I wanted to go through now was how we're going to support you through that process. And I suppose how the WSET School in London is different from other diploma providers. We have a diploma team. I say team quite loosely. We are 3 people and we look after around 700 students each year. But what that means for prospective students is that there's always a point of contact. So if you've got any questions about the course content, your schedule, what's happening on specific days, if you've got academic questions, then you can pose those to the diploma team and you'll get a fairly quick response to those questions. We have exceptional educators. I'll show you some pictures in a moment, but we have a teaching faculty for the diploma of about 16 educators. What's quite common for the lower level qualifications is that perhaps when you did your level 3 or a level 2 course, you saw the same person every week. So the same person delivered every single session as part of that course. That is not something that we can do as part of the diploma course. Because the information is more detailed, you can't possibly know as an educator every single element of every single wine style and area of the diploma studies. So we were reliant on lots of different educators, each with different backgrounds, but most importantly, each with different subject specialties to teach the various elements of the diploma course. So you might see me for perhaps wine production. You might see Mags for one of our D2 wine business sessions. And you'll see lots of people for D3 because we each specialize in different areas. And then different people for sparkling wines and fortified wines. But most importantly, as I say, they're all subject specialists. I think one way in which the school really perhaps outshines our competitors essentially is in the quality of our educators, but also in our online resources. So we don't just give you the digital materials, we don't just give you access to the online activities or the classroom sessions as part of your course. There's also a lot of additional resources that we give you access to. So quizzes, virtual tastings, mock examinations, practice questions that are all available on the online classroom for you to attempt and help you prepare for each of the assessments. In terms of classroom setup and class sizes, so classroom size is approximately 14. It might be slightly larger for more of our popular format, so it can go up to say kind of about 20 students. I'm very pleased to say that we now have a diploma suite, so we've got a newly refurbished floor as part of our school in Bermondsey Street in London. That's 2 brand new classrooms with breakout area. So we've got a nice new facility in which to teach our diploma courses. Wines that teach, I mean, that sounds like a fairly obvious statement, but what I mean here is that we select our samples not just to show one element, say a grape variety or a style. We pick our wines to show lots of different facets. So it might be a variety, a style, a certain producer type, a certain production method, etc. So we try and teach the theory through the tasting samples in the classroom. Regular email updates, not too regular, but just letting you know about opportunities. So tasting opportunities, events that might be of interest, discounts and offers. So discounts for things like purple pages, decanter events, tastings that might be of interest. So lots of opportunities to practice tasting, to improve your knowledge outside of the core elements of a specific course and the specification. Oh, so these are some of our educators, so you can see me there towards the top. But I think what we can say about our educators, I mean, this is a selection of, I said, wide variety of different backgrounds. We have approximately, as I say, 16 different educators. About half of them are MWs. I would probably say another half again are currently studying the MW qualification. And at various stages of that qualification. But as I said, I think that the most important thing is that they are each specialists in a particular field, and we pick them based on their skills to deliver different elements of the qualification. Okay, right. So I suspect this is probably the area that you've have the greatest interest in. I think what we can say about the school is in London is that we offer lots of different formats. And those formats vary in cost, they vary in what's included, whether they're online or classroom based, but lots of different formats. And the reason why we do that is to try and appeal to as large a number of prospective students as possible. So you need to make a decision based on perhaps a financial commitment, or based on a work commitment, or based on your availability or where you live. But essentially that there should be a course that is well suited to your particular circumstances. Right, so we can kind of split this into 2 areas. We've got continuous delivery, and then we've got semester delivery. A continuous delivery is a format that includes every single unit. So D1 through to D6. You may not necessarily study those units in that particular order, but you pay one fee and you have access to all the units. So these tend to be longer courses. and we're currently offering a Saturday course and a Monday course. That roughly equates to about 4 hours per week, at 33 sessions, there or thereabouts. They're currently very popular. Our next Saturday and Monday courses will be starting probably in September, so not for a little while. We've just started a Saturday and a Monday course, and they take about let's see, about 18 months to complete, there or thereabouts. We offer evening courses. The evening classroom course is the longest format. It'll probably take about 2.5 years to complete, and that's 2 hours every week on the same evening. So let's say kind of every Tuesday or every Friday. So it is a longer commitment in terms of your time, but that's definitely an option for those of you that perhaps aren't in the industry at all. That might be a more agreeable option for those of you that have work commitments elsewhere, and that perhaps aren't able to take the time off to commit to a daytime course. And then finally, we've got, within that continuous delivery, we've got an intensive block. So that's whereby you do blocks of study, consecutive days of study. So you might come in for the first block of 4 days, then you'll go away, and then you'll be assessed on D1. Then you'll come back for 2 more days and then be assessed on D2. And then you'll come back for another 5 days to cover D4 and D5, and then you'll be assessed on those units, and so on and so forth. And as the name suggests, this is probably the most intensive format. Generally takes about 14 months to complete, but it is most definitely an intense course. So there's a lot more pressure put on students in terms of prerequisite study, making sure they've read all the relevant chapters and materials before attending the classroom sessions. And that's very popular with our international students. So there are a smaller number of trips required to the UK to participate in the classroom activities. So that's why it tends to be a little bit more popular. So there are continuous courses, and then we've got our semesterized courses. So this is where the diploma program is kind of pretty much split into 2 equal semesters. First semester course and a second semester course. And the first semester includes D1, D2, so wine production, wine business, and D4 sparkling wines, and D5 fortified wines. Semester 2 is D3, light wines of the world, and D6, the research assignment. So the idea here is that it allows students to commit to half the fee rather than the whole fee for both, for all the units. And it allows students to kind of chop and change the formats or the delivery location. So you may want to start the course via a weekly format and then move to an online format for the second semester. Or you might want to start as a block course in one region and then finish with a weekly course in another area. So you've got some flexibility to swap out the different formats for the semesterized option. So day release is 1 day per week. First semester is 11 days. Second semester is 13 days. One day per week, kind of 9 till 4:30. And we offer those courses in London. The block release is blocks of consecutive study. And again, that's 11 days for the first semester, 4 days, then 2 days, then 5 days. And 13 days for the second semester, 4 days, 4 days, and 5 days. And we offer those courses in London, but also at our regional centres in Manchester, Edinburgh, and Dublin. For those of you that perhaps are within the UK and Ireland, but that don't really want to travel to London. And then finally, we've got our online option. So our online option, again, is in a semester format. Same units as for the classroom-based courses. And that involves a series of online activities, group discussions, assignments, quizzes, where students participate in those weekly activities. So it's not It's not a course where you sit down and watch a video each week or watch a webinar. It's a course where you've got those online activities and you have the opportunity to work ahead, complete those quizzes, group discussions and assignments, or if you fall a little behind, then you can catch up. So it's a much more flexible course in terms of the pace you take through the content. There's no or very little in terms of scheduled times where you need to be in a certain place at a certain time. And obviously you can do that course from anywhere in the world. So that's currently, as you might expect, very popular for our international students. I suppose the disadvantage with the online course is that there are no samples. So the focus tends to be a little bit more on the theory element rather than the tasting element. And it's up to you to source the tasting samples that might be required for a particular course. And if you want any more information about those different formats, then the info pack has got a lot more detail rather than me just kind of sitting here and going through all the numbers with you. So the information pack is probably the best place to go if you want to compare the different formats and figure out what might be best suited to you. Okay, so I mean that's it in terms of the presentation that I wanted to go through, and I hope that I've managed to cover off the vast majority of any questions that you might have. So what I thought I would do now is just have a quick look to see if anyone's posted any questions. So let me have a quick look through the Q&A. Let me see. Right, so is that Natalia said, I've just done level 3, found the tasting quite challenging. Let's see, not working on the floor and on a budget. Do you have any advice? Okay, right. So for those of you that aren't in the industry and perhaps aren't exposed to lots of wines day in, day out, the diploma is most definitely achievable. I would say about 25% of our students aren't in the industry at all. And they have just as good a chance of passing the qualification and excelling within the qualification. I think you just have to be a little bit more proactive in terms of attending tastings, choosing samples, perhaps forming tasting groups with your peers and those around you to make sure that you get that regular exposure to the different samples and have a real opportunity to taste the wine. But just because you're not in the industry doesn't mean that this qualification is more challenging. So any kind of student can succeed and outperform anyone else. Okay, so another question, can you provide examples of topics past students have chosen for the research assignment? Absolutely, so they're usually kind of current topics, so kind of hot topics within the industry. So the current 2 topics are on the South African wine industry. The other current topic is sustainability in the wine industry. Previously, they've had things like alcohol levels in wines, the natural wine movement. So they tend to pick a subject that isn't necessarily covered in detail within the digital materials that are provided for you, to encourage you to look outside of those materials and find some additional content to put that together. But what the awarding body will check is that there is enough free information out there for you to put the research assignment together. Okay, is there a suggested reading list for the course? No, and I'm quite happy to say that the everything you need to know is in the digital materials that are provided for you, which I think is really good because those digital materials are updated each year. They stay current, and you know that for your exam, the examiners will be picking a question based on those digital materials. The exception to that, which I've just mentioned, is the research assignment. So that's where you do need to go outside of the materials that are provided for you to make sure that you've got all the relevant information to complete that particular topic. But happily, everything you need to know is in those digital materials. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Right, so there's a specific course there from someone who works for Majestic Wine. So the courses that we offer to Majestic Wine are those that we offer to anyone else. As far as I'm aware, let's see, they offer the most popular format is a consecutive course, so blocks of study days in a semesterized format. But we have students from Majestic that do the weekly format as well. So get in touch and see what the best option might be. Okay, what else have we got? So literature what kind of literature might be useful to read beforehand? Certainly the level 3 study guide is a great place to start, I would say. Making sure that the fundamentals are in place so that we can build on those concepts as we move through to the level 4 qualification. And I think the tasting guidance document and the theory guidance document, which can become available to students when you register for a diploma course. And I think kind of at the most fundamental level, making sure that you've read through those materials for each of the sessions that you're about to cover. Let's see. Okay. Right, so how do our competitors compare against us? I mean, generally our pass rate is between 10 and 15% higher than the global average. So we do tend to outperform in terms of assessments. And I think probably a key difference compared to other diploma centres is probably the additional resources that we're able to provide. So those online activities, the opportunity to participate in tastings, the additional resources that we're able to give all of our students. I think that's probably how we're best able to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. Okay, so when will the Saturday course be available to book? Probably, I would think around May next year. Might be sooner. I've just put the dates together for that, so hopefully as soon as possible if you're interested in the Saturday course. The facilities in our regional centres are very much the same as those in London. Obviously, it's not a dedicated wine school. We tend to use a selection of hotels and event space within hotels. But the course is delivered exactly the same by the same people and using the same samples and the same resources. So you get the same delivery of course, albeit the environment is slightly different. Let's see, do we get support on D6 if we do the online course? There aren't any sessions dedicated to preparing for the D6 assignment, either in the classroom or the online course. But there is a section within the online classroom that gives students distinct guidance on how to prepare and how to approach the research assignment. So there is definitely guidance there, although not necessarily a dedicated session. Okay, right. How many people pass the level 4 globally each year? Of the 700 you mentioned who take it, so you want a kind of a conversion rate. So we've got about 700 students in various stages of the course, so they're not all fresh starts. We probably have about 300 fresh starts every year, and let's see, on average we probably have about 200 that pass. Perhaps just to add a little bit of information for the prizes and scholarships that are offered for the best performing students at any level of WSET qualification. Let's see, last year we won, I think it was about 50% of the scholarships, so that the 60 scholarships and prizes on offer, we won about 30. So we tend to do pretty well. Right, that's who we are. Okay, so what happens if I enroll on one course and then I need to travel? If you miss a session, then you can get in touch and we can try and find you a space on another session. We may ask you to pay a fee to do that, depending on why you need to miss a session. We try and be as flexible as we can. and compassionate as we can. So if you're ill or there's a bereavement, kind of fairly hot topic at the moment, then we try and accommodate you free of charge on an alternative session. But yeah, we take each case on a case-by-case basis. So we speak to those that might not be able to attend certain sessions, and then just get in touch and give you the best option. Okay, right. Let's see. There's a specific question there about the higher certificate. Is not currently recognised as a prerequisite qualification for the diploma. So you would potentially need to do the level 3 award in wines before securing a place on the diploma course, but I'm happy to chat to you about that if you've got any more specific questions. The next starting date for semester formats, we've got lots. There's lots of courses available on the website. There's still availability on our consecutive courses, day release courses, online courses that start in January. So have a look at the website for any specific courses. Diploma pass rate overall, I suppose the pass rate would be considered the pass rate for the most challenging assessment, which is the D3 theory exam. So I would probably say that the pass rate is about kind of 62–64%, thereabouts. The pass rates for the other units tend to be considerably higher, kind of typically around kind of 75–80%. So that's our lowest pass rate for D3 theory, which is about, as I say, 62–64%. Is there going to be a block semester course towards the end of 22? Yes, yeah, keep checking the website. We'll be always releasing courses. Are the online courses self-study based? No, so there are the activities that you participate in. You would probably look to spend about 120 hours on those online activities across both semesters. And then the other 380 hours or thereabouts would be considered self-study. So it's not entirely self-study. You'll still be interacting with other students, albeit online, and participating in group activities. It's not purely self-study. How does the diploma compare with an undergraduate master level uni degree? It's not off-qual regulated. It doesn't appear as part of that structure. It's probably most comparable to something like a GMVQ, but I don't think we could consider it kind of a graduate or a master university qualification. It's not that kind of qualification. Right. I think I covered majority of questions. Let's see. Suggesting reading if you decide. Let's see. If you decide to do the online course, are you still able to attend some classes? If you wanted to attend some classes, then I could check for availability. You would have to pay a fee for that, but we again try and be as flexible as possible. So if you are doing an online course and wanted to come in and do some classes, I could look into that for you. Okay. I think that's the majority of the questions covered. If I haven't answered your question, then I do apologize. I will go through these, and any that I haven't answered, then I'm quite happy to drop you an email. And if you've got any additional questions outside of this session, then again, please get in touch and I'd be happy to